up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name's Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 14, episode 4. Now, y'all getting this good voiceover action because I don't look presentable, and I really wasn't into this episode, but I want to be consistent and still give you guys content and not get too far behind because I will procrastinate. It's just in me. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't really impressed by this episode, but let's get into it. So if you watch one of my The Drama video, I did one and it was titled OGs versus Newbies, and it was about how there was beef between Marlo and Kenya and Sheree and Drew. Well, on Wendy Williams, featuring Michael Rappaport, shout outs to Miss Wendy, Kenya shaded Marlo because Michael Rappaport informed Kenya that Marlo said that she thought Kenya was jealous of her for getting her peach. Well, Kenya said, I'm an icon, she's an ex-con, what do I have to be jealous of? This was Marlo's response, which was like 2 days or a day after that, which was late, but this is what she had to say. A round of applause to all the ex-cons who have turned their lives around. It's not about where you are, but about how you finish. Keep going. Hashtag icon, ex-con. Hashtag OG friend. Hashtag we on the same show. This was late and delayed. Like I said, this was late and delayed. It was like 2 days after Kenya's whole thing on her interview on Michael Rappaport went like viral. And then Marlo came with this. The issue is Marlo is not a reader. And we can see that even with her little beef or spat that she's having with Kandi right now. But I hope she wises up before the reunion or she's going to get decimated. But let's get into this episode that I told y'all was meh. So we open up and we are at Marlo's plot of land in Decatur, Georgia. She is building a new home for her and her nephews. She's actually meeting with the contractor, but she invited Kenya and Sheree. I think the three of them look cute together. I actually like them as a trio, but you can tell that Marlo keeps coming in hot. Like she wants to have an argument with Kenya, but I just think that's Marlo's insecurities. Even though Kenya and Marlo have similar backgrounds with their mothers not really caring for them, which is sad. They both led two different lives, and maybe Marlo compares, but she got really hot with Kenya to me for no reason. Like, yes, Kenya has been judgy and a little bit snarky, but not for Marlo to be so rah with it. We find out that Sheree's boo Tyrone is possibly coming. He's on house arrest, but he can travel within like 100-mile radius, so they have to see if his parole officer will let him come through. Sheree and Kenya are kind of surprised that Marlo wants to live in Decatur instead of Buckhead, but Marlo says she ain't got the coins. And then we get this whole debate about how is Marlo rich or isn't Marlo rich? And I think two things can be true. I think Marlo lives comfortable, but Marlo does put on as the rich girl of the group, Miss Fashionista. But I think the group like labels her with that, like, oh, you always saying you rich and you Miss Fashionista and you're this and you're that and you always talking about this and you're so nouveau riche. But then Marlo sometimes doesn't speak about her money, and then when she does speak about it, we get this. So I think the group plays on it as well. Like, it's not always Marlo, in my opinion. It's the group as a whole. They all want to know where Marlo getting her money from. Marlo likes to brag about her money, and sometimes she doesn't, but I don't think she's constantly bringing it up. This season, it seems like they are bringing it up, and Marlo keeps feeling like she has to defend herself. Then the next scene we see is with Todd and Kandi, and they're basically talking about the Jersey home. We know we're going to New York to see, I think, Thoughts of a Colored Man, and to get everybody's opinion on how they think the play is going, and for Kandi to promote the play. I will say, although I find Todd to be whiny in this moment, I do agree with him in the sense that everybody does kind of belittle him. You got Mama Joyce belittling him, and then you got the audience and the fans as a whole that belittle Todd. We oftentimes credit Todd's success to Kandi. And to be honest, that can get tiring and it can be very dismissive in the sense where it's like, I did this on my own. I didn't need Kandi. Not everything I do, Kandi should be exalted. And I think we have to give him credit. Do I think he's being whiny? Yes, but his feelings are valid. Like, nobody would want their significant other to constantly take credit for their accomplishments or their accolades. But I will say, with this apartment, I'm over it. Either y'all gonna turn it into an Airbnb or give it to Kayla. Because clearly y'all be treating Kayla like she's Cinderella. And we see it with Todd. Don't want to get that girl no type of money. But hopefully they give it to her. Because them are constantly arguing about it is stupid. So the next scene we have is with Miss Drew. I hate this confessional look. Everyone was saying it's reminiscent of Wonder Woman or something off of Marvel. And I don't like it because she didn't go there. Drew always misses to me. And Drew is not ugly. She's actually very pretty. This dress is the exact same dress that Gertie wore for her Real Housewives of Miami season 4 reunion. And it looked beautiful on Gertie, but I thought Gertie was missing like a necklace or something. And I think Drew is too. Like, you're in the confessional, girl. Be dramatic. Where is like the the drag queen type hair? Where's the makeup? Where's the jewelry? It's like, you can tell that they probably didn't know that they had to have a third look, and Drew and her stylist just threw this together because it's not giving. Like, your hair's just in a ponytail and that's it. And I'm just mad because I'm like, I want more. We need more. Like I told y'all, I really feel like Drew is playing from a script, her and Ralph. I don't really care about their marital issues. I feel like they putting on. And you can tell she's playing to a script because when she argues with people and they go off or they don't go the way she thinks they're going to go, she doesn't know how to, rebuttal or like regroup. It like takes her a minute and she's like frazzled. Like, she's too quick to respond and her responses don't make any sense. But she's basically having Dr. Ken come over so Ralph and her can have an in-person counseling session. One thing that is weird to me is, why does Drew and Ralph need 4 assistants? Like, why? Like, what are you paying these people? Like, chips and Doritos? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. We end up meeting or seeing her 4 staff hands. We see Brandon, a girl named Danielle, and then we see Anthony. I did notice Anthony is on probation, but what I noticed is when Anthony saw the camera, he rushed right back into the closet in the bathroom. So I guess they really did have like a talking, like they really talked to him. But I guess he's not going to be too thirsty for the cameras anymore. But I just don't get it. Dr. Kim pops up. And one thing I want to say, what in the hell does Ralph have on? Like, he has on an outfit that I would have wore in like 2003 to elementary school. Like the cutout jeans with the star pull up. Like, what is this? Like, that whole outfit you can get at H&M. You could get that at H&M or Forever 21. I don't even know if Forever 21 still exists, but I know for a fact that you could get that at H&M. I can't. So they're having a discussion. We find out that Dr. Ken is basically like, you two attack one another. Ralph brings up the infamous line where he's like, I did a nice dinner for her. I gave her steak and lobster, but I should have gave her a Lunchable. She didn't deserve it. And he felt some type of way that he felt like Drew wasn't appreciative. No, asshole, she was not appreciative because, like she told you, I don't want to have very high highs and then very low lows. That's a toxic relationship and nobody wants that. Ralph, to me, is just somebody, and you can tell that was not important, or people didn't really gravitate to him growing up, and now that he feels like he's somebody, he feels the need to put his dick on the table, for a lack of a better words. Like, Ralph is the character, or the energy Ralph is giving is very much, I was a lame growing up, but now that I got cute, I'm about to treat everybody and even the person that I claim I love like trash because nobody else would give me the time of day back in school. But then Dr. Ken and them proposes an idea for a I guess a contract where if somebody breaks the rule, the other person has control over them for 24 hours. And that's that. He also said in a nice way, keep my name out your mouth when y'all are arguing, which I agree. Therapy is supposed to be a safe space, and you shouldn't be using the things you learned in therapy to dig at your significant other. They just need to get it together. So the next scene we get is of Safari and Patrick. And if you don't know, Patrick and Safari were featured on OLG Gang. Patrick is Kandi's little cousin. And Safari is Patrick's girlfriend. They straight up are going to each cast member's house in like BDSM gear. Sis got her titties out with pasties on, giving people vibrating panties and like sex toys as an invite to New York. And you know what? As much as Kenya has been a little annoying to me, I agree with her in this moment. Like, why not give me like a bill of like what we about to go see, like a playwright or something like that? Like, just don't be having random naked people show up to my house. And I'm like, yes, sis, I agree. Like, you gonna have the neighbors thinking I'm into some freaky deaky stuff, and I ain't even like that unless it's behind closed doors. Excuse you. Like, I was just like, Kandi. So Kenya called Sheree, and I was with Kenya. Like, girl, that's a bit much. That was a bit much. And then we get a scene of Marlo getting a call from Drew, and because I guess Marlo didn't get the invitation, or like she wasn't there, and Marlo was throwing shade. And my thing with Kandi is Kandi be acting like sometimes she doesn't like when people constantly reference sex to her. Like when we saw on the last episode where someone was asking the shady question, like, I heard Kandi suck you know what in the locker room. Well, when you do things like that, people automatically assume that's what you do. So like, that's not a far-fetched question to ask you, Kandi Burrs. You over here got naked people out here giving out invitations, and you out here giving people vibrating panties. Like, ma'am, I understand you trying to, like, market, is it called Candy Coated Nights? I think that's what her adult toy line is. But either way, like, ask people. Just don't be having randos showing up to people's house butt booty ball naked. That's gross. So the next scene we see is everyone getting to Kandi's house. Kandi wanted everyone to ride together so they weren't late charting the plane. But one thing I find funny is how is Kandi, who was 4 hours late to Brooklyn's birthday, now she cares about punctuality. I was like, girl, bye. We see Kenya. Kenya gets there and she kind of has an attitude, slightly, like she doesn't let it be known, but she's a little peeved in the confessional that everybody else is there with their significant other, and she felt like Kandi should have told them that they could bring significant others. But Kandi did. They flash back to the scene at Brooklyn's party where Drew asked, like, can we bring significant others? And Kandi says they can. And Kenya even was like, ooh, I might bring somebody. So I think she just feels some type of way about the invitation, and now she has like a bone to pick with Kandi. So we finally get to New York and they're doing rooms. I don't understand why they always have to play games for rooms on Atlanta. Girl, just give everybody a room key and call it a day. But they decide to play a game where whoever has the best sex story will get the best room, even though all the rooms are nice. So Sonia says her and Ross are a part of the Mile High Club. Marlo tells some goofy story about how she did it at the zoo and she got licked by a giraffe that was watching, but she broke character, so everybody knew it was fake, but it was funny. Then Sheree said she did it at a Miami resort, like by the pool with everybody down there. And then Kenya ends up winning because she tells this story about how she was dating this guy who was a hunter who tagged a coyote. They thought the coyote was dead, but it wasn't. They ended up following the trail of blood, I guess, to pick up the coyote to bring it back, but he was still alive. And then they ended up having sex in the chasm where they thought the coyote was. Kandi didn't believe it, but they said for her imagination, they gave it to her. Then we got Ralph and Drew. They talked about they did it in the ocean with the whales. And you already got people thinking it's not true because Kandi's like, y'all had to be far out. Then Sheree's like, don't whales weigh a lot? Wouldn't he be breached on the sand? Which I'm like, you're right, it would be breached. But I do believe they probably did it in the ocean. But I cackled when Sheree was like, they're just whack. And I'm like, they're just whack. They're just the wackest. I can't with them. The next scene we see is a montage of everybody getting ready to go to New Jersey to look at Todd's condo and then go out to dinner. We then get a main scene of Sonia and Ross, and Sonia is talking to Ross about how she feels about Drew. She basically feels like she doesn't know if she can trust Drew because she doesn't get why Drew hasn't let go of Anthony when it seems like Anthony is the main catalyst for all the drama that she's having with Sheree. And Sonia is kind of like birds of a feather flock together. Is Drew just as messy? And the truth is, Drew is messy. But I also feel like Sonia shouldn't make a mountain out of a molehill unless she shows you that she's messy or she does something to you. I would just, keep your eyes on the girl. Then we get a glimpse of fine Ross. And y'all, I figured out what it is for me. It's that voice. That voice just does something to you, girl. We then see a scene where Marlo is getting ready and Sheree stops by her room. And they basically are saying how they don't get why Kandi is not happy about the condo. Like, they're like, girl, you always want to make money. This is a good money grab. But they feel like maybe Kandi feels insecure. And they also don't like the fact that Kandi gave them vibrating panties. They like, it's a bit too much. All of this is a bit too much. We then see everybody on the Sprinter. Marlo is knocked out. Like, Marlo is sleeping. But you know what, you guys? I'm more on Todd's side when it comes to this condo. Could Todd be out here doing some things he ain't got no business doing? Yes, but I'm more so leaning towards that Kandi is a low-key overreacting and just doesn't like the fact that she doesn't have control of this aspect because it seems like she has control of everything else. To me, Todd seems like he's on the up and up, if I'm being honest. I just feel like she doesn't want to have to do what he does every day in Atlanta, which is humble himself around her family and be a part of their world. Because I like how Ross backed Todd up and was like, he wants you to be a part of his world when he's here in New York. And Kandi basically says she feels like Todd acts like a college kid when he's back home. And you know what? We all kind of do. When you go back home after you haven't been there for a while, you get excited because it's something familiar and you see all your old friends or your old stores or stomping grounds, and it brings back memories and it makes you feel good. Now, they did flash back to that whole Marvin thing 5 years ago when Portia accused Todd of out here, doing things he ain't got no business do, going by the alias name Marvin. But I feel like even if he was doing something, Kandi probably in on it or she know about it. I just feel like if we gonna constantly make ourselves the sex positive and the queen of freakdom, then own it. Like, you gonna have to work on them insecurities, Kandi. I just feel like that's what it has to be. It just seems like she wants control and she can't have control in New Jersey. So we have finally reached Todd's New Jersey condo. And I hope this is the last episode we talking about this stupid condo. But the condo actually seems nice. Once they gut it and do all the upgrades to it, I think it would really be nice. Kenya's Bob the Builder self was in there suggesting all types of things. And honestly, her suggestions, I think, would aid in making the condo a lot more viable for new clients. But they could definitely rent that out and make a coin or give it to Kayla, who deserves it. It just feels to me that Kandi wants control because there's honestly no sensible reason other than, do you feel like Todd is out here cheating on you? Because if he is, I know he not cheating at that condo because there was nothing in that condo. I just feel like Kandi wants control, and the fact that she can't have control and that she already feels uncomfortable about it, she's going to make the situation hard. We then see the couples at the restaurant. Sonia asks Drew and Kandi, why don't they have on their wedding rings? We find out that Kandi doesn't really wear her wedding ring, but Todd has his on. Ralph has his on as well, and then Drew doesn't have hers. Drew basically lies and says that when she started having her kids, the ring was too tight, so she took it off. But then when she lost weight, the ring, I think she said it was too, like, it kept falling off. But was like, they were in a rough patch, and now she's kind of like, we're working on being better. We're doing this 3-month contract thing where we can't fight or whatever. But she basically lied, because they did a flashback where it's like, sis, you ain't never had on the ring. So the whole losing weight thing was stupid. We then have Ralph like trying to explain himself with the assistant, because someone prompted them to be like, so what's going on with you and the assistant? Ralph's like, oh, I fired her. And all the women are looking at him like, well, why did it take you so long? And he's basically like, there was nothing going on. I don't even get why she upset. Da 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 da. It was real stupid. And all the women at the table were basically like, bruh, it should have never got to the point where you would have someone in your presence that would make your wife feel uncomfortable. She felt uncomfortable. She didn't feel safe, and that's your fault. Like, you have to make her feel safe. So now Ralph's at the table asking, like, how can I make it better? And Kenya basically says, like, you need to put action behind your words, and you need to reassure her. And Kenya's basically like being on the outside looking in. Ralph is very much giving her Mark vibes, and then they give us a whole montage of how Mark used to gaslight Kenya, which he did. That man was a demon. That man is a demon. He's just horrible. And Kenya's just like, you are making her feel crazy, and she's not crazy. She felt uncomfortable, and you seemed like you were doing things you had no business doing, which is basically the context of gaslighting. When you do something, and then when the person has a reaction, you act like they're crazy for having that reaction, when normally 9 times out of 10 their reaction is correct to what you're doing. So Kenya says, if I was her, I would flip the table, because you're basically trying to dismiss her feelings of feeling hurt. Which he is. Which he technically, not technically, he really much is. And if I really were going to sit here and act like I believe this, which y'all know I don't believe it. I feel like if this was true, Ralph is trash. And we already know he's a milk dud headed asshole. But then for him to have this Cheshire grin while Kenya is talking, that would piss me off even more, because now it seems like you're being condescending. But it also feels like he's nervous, and he's like, he doesn't know how to deal with them going off script. Because like I told you, they have a script. Both of them are reading off of a script with their weird wax selves. We then have Marlo chiming in, and Marlo basically says, like, Drew, you have to take ownership of this too. You are allowing him to treat you this way, which is true. You can only allow as much as what people do to you. So Drew has to stand up and be like, you know what, I'm not going to take this anymore. But who knows? They then say, like, Drew kind of acts the same way Ralph does when she's in the group, where if she thinks something is one way, she holds on to it and she holds a grudge, and then they bring up the whole charade thing. Drew tries to act like, I don't start things, but I'll finish them, when it's like, you did start the issue with charade. You started it with the assistant. And then they ask her about Anthony, because they're like, well, Anthony is the one who kind of kicked all of this off, and you're just letting him get off scot-free. So then Sheree shows proof, because Drew was like, I haven't seen any proof. So Sheree whips out that phone, and that's where the episode ends. And that's what it was. Like I told y'all, it was a meh episode for me. I know the ratings have been pretty much low, but I still think it's a pretty decent season with these 4 episodes. So I'm gonna still stick it in there. I just wasn't impressed with this episode, but it seems like things are gonna start kicking up. We're gonna start seeing the beef between Drew and Sonia, and then the beef between Marlo and Kenya, and then more beef between Sheree and Drew. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. Drop down in the comments below and give me your thoughts. And I'm out, y'all.